Today's message comes from a space that feels intentionally different. There are no studio lights, no familiar rhythm of a broadcast morning, and no expectation to entertain. Instead, this moment is about slowing down and speaking honestly. After weeks of online speculation and unanswered questions, the decision was made to step away from noise and address things directly, with clarity and care. This is not about correcting headlines or feeding curiosity, but about reconnecting with the people who have shown patience, concern, and loyalty over many years. Sometimes life requires us to pause the routine, take a breath, and speak from the heart rather than the script, and that is exactly what this moment represents. A morning that didn't follow the script. Being at home instead of on set immediately changes the energy of the conversation. It signals that this isn't business as usual and that the intention here is not performance, but truth. There's something grounding about speaking from a familiar, personal space where there's no cue card or countdown clock. Acknowledging the confusion and rumors circulating online isn't about validating them, but about respecting the audience enough not to ignore what they've noticed. Rather than dramatizing the moment, the tone stays calm and open, inviting people to listen not as viewers, but as part of a long-standing relationship built on trust and consistency. A life shared over time. After so many years in the public eye, it's impossible to separate professional life from personal life completely. Viewers have watched milestones unfold, celebrations come and go, and challenges met with humor and honesty. That shared history matters. The daily presence on screen created a sense of familiarity that goes beyond television, turning a show into a ritual and an audience into something closer to community. When that presence suddenly pauses, it naturally raises concern. Speaking now feels like a continuation of that relationship, not an obligation, but a reflection of how deeply connected that journey has been from the very beginning. When subtle changes go unnoticed. One of the most relatable parts of this experience is how quietly it began. Feeling tired, distracted, or run down is something most people brush off as part of a busy life. There was no single moment that demanded immediate attention, no dramatic signal that something was wrong. Instead, it was a collection of small changes that were easy to explain away. Sharing this part of the story isn't about regret, but about recognizing how human it is to normalize discomfort. It's a reminder that awareness doesn't always arrive loudly, and that listening to ourselves often takes practice and patience. Listening when someone knows you. Well, in close relationships, intuition plays a powerful role. Sometimes the person who knows you best notices changes you're too busy or too stubborn to see. What started as gentle concern turned into persistent encouragement to slow down and get clarity. The tone of this part of the story remains warm and lightly self-aware, acknowledging that being pushed toward answers isn't always comfortable, but often comes from love. It's a quiet celebration of partnership, the kind built on paying attention, asking hard questions, and refusing to ignore what matters. Love doesn't always show up softly. Sometimes it shows up insistently, and that insistence can be deeply protective. Receiving clarity without panic. Getting answers brought relief and responsibility at the same time. The situation was serious enough to demand attention, but not framed in fear or hopelessness. It became a moment of clarity rather than crisis. A reminder that catching things early and responding thoughtfully makes all the difference. By approaching it as a wake-up call rather than a catastrophe, the experience remained grounded. This honesty helps remove unnecessary fear while reinforcing the importance of taking care of oneself. Acknowledging seriousness doesn't mean surrendering to it. It means facing reality with calm intention and making informed choices. Stepping back with purpose. The decision to step away wasn't dramatic and it wasn't impulsive. It was rooted in perspective. When speculation filled the gap left by absence, the truth was far simpler and far more human. This wasn't about quitting, walking away, or abandoning something meaningful. It was about recognizing that health and family come before routine and visibility. Reframing identity away from a job title and toward roles that matter most brought clarity. Taking a pause wasn't a sign of weakness, but of responsibility and self-respect. And it reflects a belief that life is bigger than any single role. Gratitude for the circle of support. One of the most powerful realizations during this time was how essential support truly is. At home, there was patience, encouragement, and constant care. At work, there was understanding rather than pressure. Behind the scenes, colleagues stepped up with kindness and flexibility, reinforcing the idea that healthy environments are built on compassion, not obligation. Acknowledging that support isn't just polite, it's necessary. No one navigates challenging moments alone, even when it looks that way from the outside. This experience highlighted how strength multiplies when shared. A pause, meant for healing. This break is exactly that, a pause, not an ending. While rest and attention are necessary right now, there is no sense of finality attached to this moment. The familiar rhythm will return in time, along with laughter, conversation, and shared routines. Framing the absence as temporary helps ease worry and restores balance. It reminds everyone involved that stepping back can actually protect longevity rather than threaten it. Healing isn't about disappearing, it's about returning with clarity and renewed energy when the time is right. Carrying perspective forward. What lingers most from this experience isn't fear, but perspective. It's the reminder that life doesn't always announce when it needs our attention. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it nudges, and sometimes it forces us to slow down. The value of listening to ourselves and to those who care about us became unmistakably clear. Time, presence, and connection gained new meaning. The experience didn't change what mattered most, it clarified it. A message that extends beyond one story. This moment isn't shared as a warning or a lesson, but as an invitation. An invitation to pay attention, to trust instincts, and to prioritize care without guilt. It's a reminder that speaking honestly creates connection, not discomfort, and that pausing when necessary is a sign of wisdom, not failure. By opening this conversation, the hope is to make space for others to reflect on their own lives and relationships. In the end, challenges feel lighter when they're acknowledged, shared, and met with honesty, compassion, and the understanding that none of us are meant to navigate them alone.